Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that O-line. Car insurance cost the arm and the leg to reach that goal line. Let's go, time.
What is going on, Raider Nation? What is going on? It is your boy Darian coming to you live with another video. It is the Spotlight Raiders Talk. Shout out to all the subscribers that have subscribed to the YouTube page. And this is your first time ever being at our YouTube page, I would suggest that you subscribe and hit the bell button and get the latest news and all Raiders news. But we're back here with another Raiders video. In this video, we're finally going to talk about the opposite side of this football team, which is the offensive side of this football team. Now, we all know about Henry Ruggs getting drafted last year, and we talked about Tyrell Williams and Nelson Agholor at this wide receiver position. But the question is, what other free agent targets that the Raiders should target going into the offseason at the wide receiver position, just in case if Nelson Agholor walks and Tyrell Williams end up getting cut or released from this football team. Now, we got to look at it in some instances. There's a lot of wide receiver free agents going to be coming into this free agency, and JuJuBaby.com did pick out 10 wide receivers that the Raiders should target in free agency, but I narrowed it down to 5 wide receivers that I think, in JuJuBaby.com, they put that on there too, but I picked 5 out of the 10 that I think the Raiders should target going into this 2021 NFL season. So let's get into the video. These are the 5 wide receivers that the Raiders should target in free agency. In the first wide receiver, and just want to let y'all know that this is not no particular order this is not no particular order. This is the wide receivers I think, in JuJuBaby.com, should think that the Raiders should go out and actually go get these guys. And the first person that actually do come to mind, in my personal opinion, is veteran wide receiver AJ Green. AJ Green used to be one of the best receivers in the NFL, but now it appears the question is, what does he have left in the tank? Green started his career with 7 straight Pro Bowl appearances and 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, becoming one of the most consistent receiving threats in the league. As fortunes have turned for the Bengals, so has the former Georgia Bulldog. Green has played in 25 games over the past 2 years and has not topped 700 yards or 50 carries during that span. Those struggles have been plenty to do with the carousel, with the Bengals having had at quarterback and no stat that exemplifies him at that as much as Green having a 47 catch on a whopping 104 targets in 2020. The quality of the quarterback play in Cincinnati aside, Green has undoubtedly lost a step as he heads into his mid-30s. He can still get open while his size is at a 6'4" and allows him to come down with 50-50 balls to make contested catches. Many members of the Raider Nation wanted the team to trade for AJ Green, as it becomes apparent the Bengals were rebuilding, but now they could bring him in on a short-term deal instead. Green would be a great ideal replacement for Williams, and he could be a solid number 1 receiver for Derek Carr, and for his size will help him in the red zone as well. He may not be the most exciting option on this list. Could he be a solid addition to the young receiver group and bring some veteran savvy to the Las Vegas Raiders? And I have to agree here, but I'm not really too big on getting AJ Green, and it's just because of his age. And knowing that he really had Andy Dalton for most of his career, and now they're moving on to Joe Burrow over in Cincinnati, that is a different story. And I feel like if he do come in, get him on a 1 or 2 year deal, and you don't really have to spend the bank on him, because I think he's probably not going to ask for that much. But in my personal opinion, I mean, AJ Green does bring a veteran savvy to this football team and help this team run better routes or learn how to, go against defenses a little bit better. So having that veteran wide receiver can definitely help out. But I mean, I'm kind of on the fence with this one. But if you get him to like a 1 year deal that's not really worth that much to have him prove himself, then I say yes. But I wouldn't give him no more than 2 years on the contract. In the next free agent wideout that I think the Raiders should target, the next wide receiver that the Raiders should target in this free agency is T.Y. Hilton from the Indianapolis Colts. If Nelson Agholor signs elsewhere and the Raiders are looking for a replacement in the deep threat, they could certainly do worse than the Indianapolis Colts legend T.Y. Hilton. The former third-round pick has a poor 2020 by this lofty standards, but some of that had to do with the subpar quarterback play that had to do with thanks to the struggles of Phillip Rivers. T.Y. Hilton is just 2 years removed from a 1,200-yard season, but even his 56 catches for 762 yards in 2020 would have been a second best behind Agholor on the Raiders team that did not have a 1,000-yard receiver. The Raiders also saw firsthand what he's still capable of as he burnt it for 5 catches for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Week 14 matchup. While he is no longer a dominant player, he had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons earlier in his career, and Hilton still has a deep threat that can be a solid stopgap option if the Raiders are not able to bring back Nelson Agholor. He could still be looking for one more long-term deal at the age of 31 years old, but it could be convinced to come to Las Vegas after seeing the damage to Agholor did in this system. There's also talk about him returning to Indianapolis and firmly cementing his place as the 3rd most prolific receiver in franchise history. But that maybe choose to rebuild around the younger receivers like Michael Pittman and Zach Pascal. Similar to AJ Green's situation, this could be an addition to add some veteran savvy to a young group and some veteran leadership as well. Yes, I can say that too. This is another one that's up in their 30s, and I still think T.Y. Hilton is having better years than AJ Green. And I feel like coming in and bringing in a veteran receiver like him, I think is a great option in my opinion. You know, he killed us for 86 yards in the Week 14 matchup. You can still see that he can still get down the field and he still has the speed. But I know that, you know, T.Y. Hilton does have some issues with him when it comes to, you know, being on the field, you know, with injuries and stuff like that. But I feel like when he is on the field and when he did have Andrew Luck before Phillip Rivers got there, T.Y. Hilton was definitely a prolific receiver. And I think he just need a quarterback that's going to be prolific. We don't know what direction they're going to go in trying to find a quarterback after Phillip Rivers retired. So I think this is a good idea to go out and try to get him. It would be good to have some veterans in that core if we don't have Nelson Agholor and Tyrell Williams come back. And the next receiver that the Raiders should go after in free agency in this 2020 NFL season, the Raiders should go after Carolina Panthers wide receiver Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is a bit of an enigma, as it's not quite clear of what his full-time position would be. He is a slot receiver that you can count on to regularly make plays, or he's just a gadget player that you will put apart on certain packages and gimmick plays. It seems like Matt Rule figured out how to use the former Ohio State Buckeye, as he has the best season of his career in 2020. Samuel has 77 catches for 851 yards, 3 touchdowns, and added 200 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns in 15 games. Perhaps the absence of Christian McCaffrey contribute to his increase in usage, but he made the most of the additional opportunities. Rumors have been floating around that Samuel will be tempting to join his former college coach Urban Meyer with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they certainly have a lot of cap space to make worth his while. Judging his value may be difficult because he has only 1 season of high-level production, but he fits the profile and up-and-coming player yet to come up in his prime. The Raiders signing him would be a great addition to the receiving group, but it would not solve their problem of not having a true number 1 receiver. Samuel benefited greatly from the attention that DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson got from the opposing defenses, so the jury is still out on him being a number 1 target. I do like Curtis Samuel. I don't think he's a number 1 target, but I think it's a guy that could come in and be a joker, knowing that we did get rid of Lynn Bowden Jr. last year in a trade. Now, I think we go out and get somebody similar to Lynn Bowden Jr., but have a little bit more veteranship when it comes to it. So Curtis Samuel could definitely be a target on our radar that could be a joker, a kind of a slot receiver outside of, you know, helping out Hunter Renfrow, whatever, you know, God forbid something happens to Hunter Renfrow. I think bringing him in for like a 1 or 2 year deal just to see what he could do. But if we can't bring him in, I do see him being a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I can see him being in the silver and black as well. And here's the 4th wide receiver that the Raiders should look at going into 2020 free agency at the wide receiver position, and that would be Pittsburgh Steelers' JuJu SmithSchuster. Most likely to talk around JuJu SmithSchuster this season has been going his viral TikTok dances and the fact that he chooses to do them on opposing team logos instead of the locker room or at the touchdowns like he's supposed to. JuJu SmithSchuster took a great deal of criticism for his antics, and much of it was deserved. but he was quietly had an excellent season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. After struggling with the attention of defenses in 2019 and poor quarterback play he had to deal with, JuJu SmithSchuster rebounded with 97 catches for 831 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2020. It's not quite the season that he had in 2018 with 101 catches for 1,426 yards, but he did prove that he doesn't need Antonio Brown opposite him to put up numbers. Some of the questions about JuJu SmithSchuster are still valid, and the primary one is he truly a number one receiver, or he's just going to be that number two receiver as a player? He was the second on the Steelers' targets in 2020 to Deontay Johnson, who was outshined by rookie Chase Claypool for much of the season. Former USC Trojan just had one 100-yard game in 2020 and has only broken that mark one time without Antonio Brown drawing the focus of defenses. If the Raiders are looking for a young receiver who is still improving, with JuJu SmithSchuster, he is 24 years old, and then he will be an excellent target, but may have to be too expensive as he reportedly wanted big money deal as he entered into his prime. Las Vegas offered JuJu SmithSchuster a platform to become a true star and continue to be one of the most marketable in the NFL. Playing with Derek Carr could help him put up the numbers worthy in that section. He is listed as the Raiders as one of the most potential destinations during one of the many live streams that he could make a quite splash if he decides to move to Las Vegas. My issue with JuJu SmithSchuster is the TikToks and the stuff that he do off the field. That's my only thing. He had that one good year with 1,426 yards, but JuJu SmithSchuster could definitely be a number one receiver here, in my personal opinion. Just imagine if you had two former Trojan wide receivers, if you're able to keep Nelson Agholor and bring in JuJu SmithSchuster. But I know in some sorts this is not a realistic for us to actually get. So I'm not really too big on him, but just the thought of trying to potentially get him, depending on what cap space and everything that's going to happen with the Raiders in their cap space, you just never know. So sometimes you just got to look and be optimistic about things. But I know, and realistically, we're not able to get JuJu SmithSchuster, but this is one of the guys that I think is out there that we could try to target and see what we could do with him. If not, then we'll move on to this last receiver right here. And last but not least, y'all, this is the final person that the Raiders should go out and target for the 2021 NFL season for the wide receiver position. And we all been talking about this guy all offseason since they even thought about trading him, but now he's a free agent, and that is Chicago Bears wide receiver Allen Robinson. This is where we enter the wishful thinking part of the list as we get to the top 3 free agent wide receivers on the market. The first, former Penn State Nittany Lion Allen Robinson, who has been one of the best receivers in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. Robinson has 200 receptions, 2,397 yards, and 13 touchdowns since the 2019, and has been done with a below average quarterback every step of the way. The Chicago Bears offense has been one of the worst offenses in the NFL in his tenure, but Robinson continued to make chicken salad out of chicken, if you know what that has to be done throughout his career. The former second-round pick has a prototypical size of 6'2", 220 pounds, and has shown that he can consistently get open and make tough catches even when he's not open. Adding Robinson would give the Raiders true number one receiver, but they have been searching for, but it may be too expensive for them in the current cap situation. They will have to make some moves to bring Robinson to Las Vegas, but it would be absolutely worth the trouble. Pro Football Focus predicts that he will sign a deal worth roughly $20 million per year, which the Raiders could afford if they make some corresponding moves. At 27, Robinson is still in the prime of his career, and he would be overjoyed at the prospect of playing for a quarterback in Derek Carr who can consistently deliver him the ball. There may be plenty of obstacles in bringing Robinson to Las Vegas, but his production would make it worth the trouble. Now, I have to agree here. I do love Allen Robinson's production, knowing he's only 27 years old, and he's been doing it with a mediocre offense with the Chicago Bears, and he was with a mediocre offense with the Jacksonville Jaguars when he first came into the league. Allen Robinson is my top priority when it comes to free agency when it comes to wide receiver out of all the other 4 that I said on here. This is the top guy. I mean, if we go out and get some cap space and get rid of some people that's not really worth their money, then we should pay that man $20 million roughly. Why not? The guy puts in numbers, and to have a quarterback like Derek Carr on his side, just imagine how much of the numbers that he would have. So just imagine that. But I feel like Allen Robinson is our guy, and they are the top 5 wide receivers that we should go out and get. But I do want to name off the other wide receivers that I did say that they did on JustBallBaby.com, because they did do 10. I decided to do 5. So they did pick, you know, Kenny Golladay from the Detroit Lions, Marvin Jones from the Detroit Lions. They did have Will Fuller as well. They did have a few other players. Chris Godwin was another guy too. So it was a lot of wide receivers that you could have picked in this situation. And I just feel like, you know, Golladay could be a good pick. Marvin Jones could be a good pick. Chris Godwin could be a good pick. Will Fuller could be a great pick. JuJu, a lot of these guys could be that. And like Corey Davis. Corey Davis is another one from the Tennessee Titans, which is not bad at all. So I'm not really mad at that. So the other 5 was Marvin Jones, Corey Davis, Kenny Golladay, Will Fuller, and Chris Godwin. There are some other guys that you could definitely look at as well. But Raider Nation, let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think. These are the wide receivers that you think we should go get. Or do you think Allen Robinson should be the only receiver that we should look at going into this season? Comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. It's the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and we'll see y'all in the next live stream or in the next video. Peace.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that O-line. Car insurance cost the arm and a leg to reach that goal line. It's go time.